Hi, welcome everyone to the tutorial 4. Today, I hope that you guys would take about an hour and a half to just sit down quietly and just focus on this tutorial. Now, today we'll talk on two topics. The first one will be on the topic 7. Topic 7 will cover on the group. Basically, what is a group, such as the group processes, the group structures, the context of the intergroup, behaviors, and also some of the strategies for improving intergroup relations. Next one, we go into topic 8, which we will discuss on the theories, the styles, and the types of leadership, group decision making, group polarisation, groupthink, and brainstorming. Now, you realize that I'll be talking in some terms, okay, that is not a layman terms. So what I hope from you is just to make sure that you get to know the terms and also to understand it and to know what is their definition. Because without knowing what the word is, it is very hard to even discuss within the term itself. Now, so today, very interesting topic. The first one would be on the group, and the second one would be on the leadership, okay? Now, before we start, I'm hoping that you can just think about what groups you are in currently, and also some of the leadership that you're engaged in. Are you a leader yourself, yeah? Now, topic 7 will cover the people in groups and also the intergroup behavior. Now, by the end of this topic, you should be able to describe the nature of the group, identify how does someone act when people are around, identify the influence of intergroup context on the thoughts, the feelings, and so the behavior, and to explain the group structures. And finally, it's to identify the strategies to improve the intergroup relations. Now, before I begin with this topic, this can be in any field of psychology. I think one of the basic human needs is the need to belong to a group, belong to a family. That's why you realize since young, even orphans or people not being taken care of, they have that kind of need to belong to somewhere. So that's why it is important. I mean, if you want to make friends with other people, first we should put them into groups. Because if you do not put them into groups, into your groups, I mean, most probably they would go into any other groups that are willing to accept them. I mean, be it in a gangster group or be it in a better good groups. They just want to belong to somewhere. Yeah? Now, next one. Groups. How do you define groups? I mean, let's say it's a group of people inside a cyber cafe. Do you consider them as a group? Or a class of students, do you consider them as a group? Or people listening in a concert, are they a group? How do you distinguish between a groups and also it's a collective individual? Now, a group is defined as a collection of 2 or more people who interact. First of all, they have to interact. Okay, individually doing your homework or individually playing your computer, that is not a group. A group involves some level of communication, okay, and also they share some common idea. They share some common idea, meaning they have a culture, a distinctive culture. Hereby, a culture doesn't mean a Malay, a Chinese, or an Indian culture. Hereby, a culture means that there is a norms within the groups. Like a group which you normally form. You can have a group on photography. What are the norms is that you people have really nice cameras and you people know how to take pictures. Now these are some of the common ideas that you have, yeah? And also the next one is that you have to have a common goal. A common goal, it means by what do you want to achieve at the end of the group. Now a group does exist for a purpose. It doesn't exist for no purpose. You can do it unconsciously or you can do it consciously. You can have a group of students studying. Now, because they might be having their individual interest, which is to finish their degrees. But that is the common goal. We look in terms of the common goal. Yeah. And also the purpose, and they have the same purpose. Why do you want to come to class together? It's that you want to learn the same thing. Or why do you want to go holiday together? It's because you want to experience other places together. Now that is your common purpose. Next one is to influence. Of course, to some extent, when you are in a group, you tend to to influence directly or indirectly. Your presence actually does play an influence. Now, how big do you put the influence within the group? It really depends on the dynamic of the group, yeah? And also how you will influence how the members think and also behave, okay? Now, so overall, the group's definition of a group, it's called a collection of two or more people who interact, share some common idea, goal, or purpose, and also influence how their members think and behave. Now, here it says two or more. Sometimes it's very hard to say it's two or more. Sometimes I would like to say more in terms of 5 or more, because that's when you form a dynamic of a group. Now, when you have 2 people, that's not necessarily a group. It's more an individual trying to do 2 things together. Let's say like a group of friends. Yeah. Now we look at some examples. Now we took 2 scenarios. Now people like to argue. Do you cycle better when you cycle alone, or do you cycle better when you cycle together? Now, if you watch Astro, I mean, sometimes they would have the cycling competition. They have the cycling competition. Now, you see themselves forming into groups. Now, they would have a long extent of the road, but you see their group together. Now, why does this happen? Rather, you don't see something like running process, okay? They always come into groups. They cycle in groups. And then the groups would catch up with another groups. And it's very interesting. I mean, if you can watch, please watch it. It's interesting how that the dynamic of maybe 2 cyclists in front, and behind there'll be 5 cyclists together, and they can catch up together, and they can form a big group. And then they have to fight their way to win or to cross the finishing line. Yep, so which one does perform together? Or running. Sometimes people go to marathon. People like to run themselves, and some of my friends, they like to run together. Now, maybe it's the fun of it. Now, if you see most of the winners, usually they run alone, meaning they are not working in packs together. I mean, they are not working together, but they just achieve what they want to achieve. Most of the runners might be from Kenya. Okay, they will have a group of Kenyan runners, but then when they run, it's I run mine and you run yours. They don't run together. Yeah? Now, studies have shown that cycling together actually enhance or really makes you cycle faster. Running-wise, it depends. I mean, you have to look at the context itself again. I mean, if you are really a great runner, I mean, if you're Usain Bolt, okay, you wouldn't require someone else to run with you. But if you are someone living in your neighborhood, you require someone to just excite or to pump up your interest in running to get it going. And that you need to run together. So you have to look back in the context again, yeah? Now, another